and you have a bike that's suddenly like sub 6 kilo. And yeah, in my case, I really like to ride one bike. With the UDH derailleur on it, I was able to run an Explore SRAM Red derailleur with the 13 speed cassette and a single chainring in the front. And yeah, I mean, that's a dream setup. It's the lightest possible group set you can have. The brakes are amazing. The bike, I mean, it's an ultra lightweight bike, but it doesn't feel like one of those weight weenie bikes where you're basically sacrificing ride performance over just having less weight. And
hi everyone, welcome to the Zone to Speak podcast. I'm your host, Juliana. This episode of Zone to Speak is supported by Peloton, the ultimate sunscreen for athletes. If you know me, you know I never leave the house without sunscreen, and Peloton is my go-to. It's lightweight, breathable, and designed for endurance sports, perfect for any day out on the saddle. And because they are supporting the podcast, you get 20% off your order. Just head to the link in the show notes and use the code ZONE2SPEAK at checkout. Protect your skin, fuel your adventures, and support the pod while you do it. All right, today on Zone to Speak, I'm thrilled to welcome Max Riese, an unsupported ultra-endurance cyclist, alpine mountaineer, and founder of GravGrav.cc, one of Europe's most vibrant gravel and bikepacking communities. Just recently, Max shattered the triple Everesting world record, climbing 26,553 meters over 491 kilometers in just 37 hours and 37 minutes, ascending the same punishing Geisberg climb near Salzburg 95 times in heavy rain with less than 3 hours off the bike. Today, I will dive into the incredible ride and what it demanded of him, physically, mentally, and emotionally. We will also talk about his work building community, route creation, and his vision for making bikepacking more inclusive and accessible across Europe. Max, welcome to Zone to Speak.
thank you. You pronounce it all quite well with the
Yay!
climb names and stuff.
Well, congratulations on your world record. What a massive accomplishment.
Thank you. I was a bit overwhelmed with the reactions to this because for me it was a small, like it was like a thing in between. I just wanted to know how I would fare on something like this and how it would tax me mentally. And I think like now it's fair, like the bike will, as we speak, so when the podcast is launched, it will already be later. So like the bike that I did it on will be launched tomorrow.
Wow.
So it was basically an idea because it will be like a very, very light bike. Like Cervelo is launching a new climbing bike and it's under 6 kilos. And
Wow.
so
Wow.
basically the idea was, what do we do with it? How do you promote a bike like this? And yeah, I just brought up this idea and everyone in the room was silent. Yeah, I think no one really knew what to do with this. And then they were like, yeah, we're intrigued. It's a nice story, but how do we do this? And I said, well, we just document it. I do it before the bike is launched. And when the bike is launched, and we just blast the news out that I did it on this bike. And so for me, it was more like a marketing gag,
Yeah.
in between the races that I usually do and the other projects. And then now, like, I didn't really think it would become that big. Like yesterday I was asked to like sum up like all of the PR and media that came out about it. And there was like Dutch media, Italian media, French media, German media, American, British media. And it's like,
That's
it's
mind
wild.
blowing. Yeah, it's wild.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny. Sometimes you don't even think you're doing something that's crazy special, and then that's like becoming more attention than finishing a Tour Divide or something.
Yeah, but Yeah, and I guess also, this is something really massive to take on. And I really appreciate you being so humble about it. Like, oh, I'm just gonna do this and try and see and do my best, and not even, knowing the impact that this could make. But also the weather wasn't on your favor, which also made it like a very dramatic accomplishment. Having to do a triple Everesting in heavy rain, it's not a small feat. What was going through your mind in the final hours, with the rain, the repeat climbs? I mean, that, plus 30 hours, you're already on the bike.
I think, yeah, I mean, like it wasn't terrible. There was some rain in the night, um, and then it was okay. It wasn't even like crazy cold or anything.
That's good.
And yeah, like the last 2 hours, it was really like, yeah, it was comical. I don't know. There was a river running down the road. It was
Oh,
just
man.
completely insane. And I think it was my mistake. I wanted to be finished way before that time, but I made a little mistake in my nutrition. And there was a little thought like, yeah, is it worth it? I mean, I can just say like, yeah, I'm just stopping here. But yeah, if you have a film crew there and you've already done so much, and there were a crazy amount of people that came out on the road, then it was pretty clear like, well, I have to do those few last laps. And actually, there was like an old guy. He used to be like a really good road racer from Salzburg, Pauli. He came out like in the pouring rain and just rode up next to me, and he was like, I was wondering if you're still out here. So how many laps do you have left to do? I'm like, 3. He's like, oh yeah, I'm joining you.
Oh,
It was insane. Basically, all the people that came out, no matter the weather, no matter the time, that it made it way easier than you would think it would be, because I always had someone to talk. It was always something that distracted me, and yeah, it was very very okay.
yeah, I think the community support really influenced the experience. I had not a friend, someone I knew in the community when I lived in Dubai, and he was doing one Everesting.
Mm.
And I remember I went at night. I remember getting there at 11 p.m. and then getting ready. And I did, I think, 4 times up and down with him. There were a few other people too arriving. And I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm done then. But yeah, I think it keeps the spirit high when you have those lows, or, just to have someone there to chat. So you had a lot of support on those 37 hours of the community coming
way
through for you.
Yeah, way more than I thought. I never believed that so many people would come out. Um, Also, people that I didn't personally know, that know me through social media and stuff, they just came out, and there was a whole bike shop that, sometimes you need an odd small part, or you don't have a bearing press kit or something. So I go to that bike shop usually, and they all came out like after work.
Wow.
First night, it was like 5 people rocking up. They were like, oh yeah, we're gonna do like 2 or 3 laps with you. Okay, great. So yeah, that was a huge help, and it was clearly something pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's moving for sure. You said you made a mistake on your nutrition. What was that? And how was your nutrition overall to keep the energy going and climb, 3 times Everest, 95 times up and down? Because it's not just the climb. I think also going up and down, you can play with your head and your body, obviously.
Yeah, basically it was pretty easy. I just tried to do around 90 grams of carbs per hour. So usually that would be 60 grams in the bottle, and then
Okay.
uh, either a 30-gram gel or a 50-gram bar on top. So I would reach that goal or surpass it a bit while I could. And then every 3 hour I would eat a sandwich on top. So because even if you do all of those carbs, then you're like skipping meals if you go for that long. Um, so that worked pretty well, but in the afternoon, the first day, it was pretty hot. And so, yeah, like I lost a lot of salts and electrolytes through sweating.
Yeah.
And I did obviously, like sometimes I took a bottle that had also electrolytes, but it wasn't enough. I should have adapted that strategy to like take way more electrolytes. And yeah, after a few hours in the heat, I just realized like, oh, like the power is dropping. I'm feeling tired. So then I took like 2 or 3 bottles straight up after each other, like electrolytes, and it got a bit
Wow.
better.
Okay.
But yeah, if you went over something, if you have a deficit, then like you will feel tired afterwards. Your body needs time to recover from that.
Yeah. Yeah. It
And
takes
so I
time to
carried
bounce
that into
back.
yeah, just carried that into the night. And yeah, if you're tired at night, that's not perfect. So I struggled staying awake, and I was very lucky to have a friend and my girlfriend coming out like in the middle of the night to like accompany me for a bit. My girlfriend was happy; she could finally ride comfortably up a mountain with me. Usually,
Nice.
I ride quite fast uphill, and that time she had a way more relaxed job
Yeah.
riding next to
Yeah. She
me.
had more energy than you at that in the middle of the night for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit more about the bike, or we need to wait for the launch?
No, it's so basically the R5 is long-standing already the climbing bike of Cervelo. It has been super successful. It has a lot of well, actually, like a few weeks ago, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot won Tour de France Femme on exactly that bike, and it was in front of the cameras anywhere. So
Yeah, true.
it's quite funny. And there's a few subtle changes. So, for example, the brakes are mounted differently on the fork, so there's no rivets in the fork anymore, so it gets even lighter. There's an integrated cockpit that saves, I think, 180 grams to the old cockpit, and yeah, it's just like small things. And then there's titanium hardware everywhere. So the engineers really went on a spreadsheet and said like, okay, like where can we save some weight? And even with Reserve is like a company that's within the Pon brands as well, and does usually comes from mountain bike wheels, but they now do like really successful road wheels as well. So they made an SL version of their lightest group wheel set,
Wow.
which is even a bit lighter. And so like all of the things come together, and you have a bike that's suddenly like sub 6 kilo. And yeah, in my case, I really like to ride one by. So with the UDH derailleur on it, I was able to run an Explore SRAM Red derailleur with the 13 speed cassette and a single chainring in the front. And yeah, I mean that's a dream setup. It's the lightest possible group set you can have. The brakes are amazing. The bike, I mean, it's an ultra lightweight bike, but it doesn't feel like one of those weight weenie bikes where you're basically sacrificing ride performance over just having less weight. And yeah, it was a really fun challenge to do something like this, because usually, like I ride a lot off road and bike packing and more like in the, yeah, I don't really like to call it adventure that much because it's not that anymore. It's very clear that you can have a strategy and go through on a really high pace through the so-called adventure races as well. Meanwhile,
True. Yeah.
but yeah, like I come from the road originally. That's where I started, and so it was funny to do something like this and talk to engineers on the level of Cervelo. That's a dream.
That's really, really cool. I also prefer a one by, but usually people on the road prefer a two by. I don't know if because from gravel, I prefer one by. It's just easier for the chain as well, not to be dropping. But you also need the legs. So Congrats to you, the legs and the mind.
Maybe it made it a bit easier, but yeah, it was still a hard effort.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I think in the end it was just under 200 watts normalized power or something. It was a lot of power emitted for those few hours, and a lot of food that I needed to take in afterwards also.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet your body was probably asking for a lot to replenish everything that you went through on those 37 hours.
Yeah, it was surprising. I mean, I got home, we did some food, had a bit of a chat, and then the film crew left, and yeah, I was still awake a bit, and then I went to bed, went through, slept until 8 or something, and then it was another day, completely normal. Went for a recovery ride for ice cream in the afternoon, and I wasn't as distraught as I thought it would be.
Well, that's good. I think it says that you were well prepared for it
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
and also did a good job with your nutrition, because if you are extremely tired and extremely hungry for a longer period of time, it means that something wasn't 100% right on the planning and
Yeah.
execution.
No, no,
Yeah.
it all went pretty well. I'd say that, yeah, there were a few small mistakes, and I feel that this record will go down further for sure.
Would you
Uh,
attempt again to get even shorter?
no, I don't think it's high on my list for now, but I'm pretty sure you can get it to around like 30 hours, maybe a bit below even.
Wow. Wow, that's a lot, shaving off 7 hours.
Yeah, but that is the mistake I made, and I originally said like, okay, like if everything goes really perfectly, I might be able to go around 30. Said 35 might be, if something happens, then 35 is more, yeah, it would be like a more achievable goal. And then, well, things went more south in the early morning hours, so I was a bit slower, but that's fine.
Well, congrats again. You did an amazing job. And yeah, hats off to you. Can we talk a little bit about the building of GravGrav? Like, I believe it has become a very big hub, go-to hub for gravel and bikepacking routes, stories, community here in Europe. What inspired you to build the platform, focus on this shared exploration and accessibility for adventure?
Well, first of all, thanks. It's nice to hear that people recognize it. It was basically a pretty simple thing where during COVID, brands had a lot of marketing budget, and I was suddenly able to quit my job and go full on into cycling again. But I didn't want to be an influencer. It's a very, how do you say best? It's a business that will go well in some years and then bad in the next year, and like you don't, at any point that career might be over. And I
Yeah.
don't feel like I want to quit my job and then 3 years later say like, hey, I need a job again because that didn't work out. So I wanted a strategy. And what I really realized through all of the races and events that I've done, there's so many beautiful places among the planet. Like you can
Yeah.
go to Central Asia and it's just incredible because everything is so high, so massive, and so wide that we cannot imagine it. Same in the United States. It's just completely mind blowing and different, the landscapes that you will see there.
Yeah.
But there's no place like Europe where we have all of the things from glaciers down to the ocean, deserts.
Desert.
We
Yeah.
have large forests. We have every possible landscape that you can imagine in a very small space together. And what makes it even more unique is that we can cross borders without having to show passports, have visas. We have the same currency. Often you can get through with one language, and even like phone roaming is like a real benefit. Then you also need to see that the infrastructure that we have here with trains and public transport is better than anywhere else on the planet. It's certainly not perfect, but in the end, if you've been to different places, you know that this here is something special, that you can travel by train through multiple countries at all with a schedule. uh,
Yeah.
so I wanted to see like why why do we have like international platforms that promote cycling, and we have national platforms that do something for Germany or for Great Britain or for United States, but we don't have anyone that really promotes Europe as a whole. We have Eurovelo, to be fair. They're doing a similar job, but to a
Yeah.
completely different target group. And what I've learned is that Eurovelo is a bit caught up with their bureaucracy, where as a private company, we are just way more flexible in adapting. Like, okay, we want to reach this now. Okay, we do it. And so GravGrav was basically the idea to say like, okay, like let's try and promote Europe as a whole and
Yeah.
connect it through cycling routes so people can travel sustainably. And
So
then,
smart.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, like it's still very much unfinished.
Well,
uh,
because there's so much to explore. I don't think
yeah,
you will ever finish. It's just there's
no,
just so much to explore. Like you said,
exactly,
it's just so easy to cross borders for most people. Some people have more challenging passports, but once you get a Schengen entry to Schengen, which is most of EU, you
exactly.
can just go across many borders. And if you're tired, a lot of times you can just hop on a train and get somewhere else and continue your
Yes,
ride.
exactly. So that could be like a future form of sustainable tourism in one way. Then also, if you're on the bike, you're moving at a slower speed. So we can tell you something about the environment, about cultural aspects, about, history in certain areas. And it might make you understand better. If you're interested in it, then, like you have some extra, you want to explore something. The days where you go into a resort and lay down on a bench for like 2 weeks, they are over. People want to have like an active vacation.
Yes.
And so like this is a good form for those people that seek for an adventure like this, to have
Yeah.
like a large trip and be out on their bike, maybe even camping, etc. We try to give them all the infrastructure, and the special thing is that it's free for people that ride. There will be no charge for the routes or anything. We think that we should work together with tourism and officials, also European institutions, because they have a high interest in doing that. The riders bring the money through the money that they spend along the way. So there is a benefit through that. And we don't want to have like a barrier in the entry. So people would say like, oh, like, but this is too expensive for me.
I love that. I love that. I'm in Girona. I'm moving to Sevilla, but I'm in Girona now. And Girona has had a few protests against tourism.
Yeah.
Um, and there has been some research done from, I don't know if it's from the town hall. So sorry, I don't have the source, but this came through Girona Connect, which is a company that does a lot of events and promotes Girona, etc. But they said that cyclists actually spend on average in Girona over 4,000 euros because they are hiring guides, they are shopping at the bike shops, they are having dinners, they are staying here. So yeah, if you can attract people and create an experience, like you're saying, the days of lounging of resort are over. Everybody wants an experience and an adventure and be active, even if it's for a little bit. It is definitely in the interest of a lot of towns because cyclists do spend money. We eat a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the last statistics that I know of is that the average cyclist or cyclotourist spends around 178, so close to 180 euros per day on their trip.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not it's not nothing. It's a lot of money.
it's a lot. Yeah,
Obviously, there's some problems with that. Like you can have over tourism and mass tourism, and the local population and also the tourism itself will suffer under it. Barcelona, we see that right now. They're like
Yeah.
striking off some bus routes from Google Maps because they're just always overcrowded and it's not a pleasant experience. So you
Yeah.
need to do some guidance. You know you can basically try and actively um, design the infrastructure and the POIs for the tourists in a way so it spreads out.
Yeah, and I think like there's always going to be people that want to go and see the big touristy attractions, like Barcelona, Rome, Paris. But there's a lot of people that are looking for off the beaten path, coolest, greatest, nobody knows
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it. And a lot of cycling, and a lot of people are not like training every day and are cyclists, but they love to go on a stroll and they want to do that.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I see as part of the job of GravGrav, to
Hmm.
basically have a concept and try and spread that out among like a lot of different things and a lot of topics. So we've now done something with species preservation. We've now done something with climate change and yeah, like basically water circulation. And the next thing might be something cultural or historical. So we try to have like different topics so it also speaks to different people.
I love that. It's not just a bike ride, it's also education. How do you create this route and balance the storytelling, the cultural sense of the place, and the logistics of bringing these routes to life?
Well, usually there's some sort of idea or project first.
Okay.
Um, so either like in one case we really wanted to do something with lynx because they're amazing animals. It used to be the first GravGrav logo had a lynx in it. Um, and so yeah, we just wanted to do a jersey with Iris at the time. Slappendel, she does Everesting, the female focused, let's say, cycling clothing brand. And so there was a jersey with links on it, and we sold it. And the profit of it was going to be donated to a cause that benefits links and the reintroduction of links in Europe. Which
Love
was,
links.
yeah, that was harder than we thought. So finding an organization that actually had a plan, so you say like, okay, like that money actually goes to something good other than flyers or bullshit like this, was not easy. And in the end, we ended with Lifelinks, which was an European project. They introduced 27, 28 links in the Dinaric Alps in the Balkans. So it was a massive project. And they couldn't take a donation from us. They said, like, we cannot do it. We are
Hi.
European funded, so we cannot take donations. Um, but they could do a special project. So we just designed a special project and we did this route together with them, had the input from the scientists and the biologists, and yeah, try to educate on the topic and have like this cycling route so people can just yeah, like go out and discover it themselves. And it's the same, like always, like there's problems with that as well because there's also bears, wolves, other large carnivores. So how do you balance it in a way so people actually go out and they're informed enough so they don't just pitch their tent and have like a sausage hanging from it or something?
Yeah. Don't be bad.
um, I cannot know, but we made it start from a museum. The museum informs them on large carnivores, and then
Wow, what a great idea.
yeah, if they do it or not, I don't know. The GPX is publicly available. If there's a
Okay.
lot of cases where those people go to the museum and then they say like, "Oh, but we don't need to buy the starter package and go into the museum." So then they just ride. But
Okay.
that's their choice. I cannot,
Yeah.
you know.
You can control it.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and basically that was the starting point, and then I wanted to have certain topics like what landscapes and habitat does the lynx have. What animals does it prey on? Um, yeah, like basically giving a good overview of what this animal is, how it hunts, where it lives, and the specialties of the landscapes that it likes. And then there were basically like there was a brevet card, or is a brevet card, and it has QR codes so you can scan them, and like little games, little challenges. So
Nice.
yeah, it's a form of gamification, and it
Yeah.
works really well. People really like it. So yeah, like we try to go on with this. The latest project that we did is also about water circulation. It's around Salzburg, my hometown. We have two glaciers that are not far. One is the northernmost, and it's in Bavaria, and it will be dead in like 3 or 4 years. One is the largest. Well, it's a connection of glaciers, and they're like the largest in the Eastern Alps still,
Mm.
but they're decreasing a lot. And that's exactly where I feel like, okay, like I can put like glaciers in that route. I can put small streams and rivers in there. I can put large lakes of different forms. Some of them might be artificial with dams. Some of them might be natural. Then we have peatlands and marsh that basically are very important for our ecosystem. And, like if we talk about dams, then that's a human structure. And usually where we
Yeah.
we put something into nature and we try to manipulate it, then there's problems. Nearly always.
Yeah.
And then we try to correct it, and then, like just understanding that this is a problem, that's enough. If people understand that this water comes down from the mountain over stream, over maybe it gets like delayed a bit through a glacier, but then it melts over the summer, so we have fresh water all summer, even if it's dry. Or it rains and it goes into streams and then it goes into rivers, then it stays in lakes, but it always goes towards the sea again. If you understand that, then like we have our job done. And if you're out there and you try to understand what's happening around you, then I can also like make some, well, uncomfortable quests, so to say, because that glacier that's still the largest in the Eastern Alps, that challenge there, like if the challenge is pretty simple, like it's just it just comparing white and dark objects and seeing how soon they heat up if you put them in the sun. And then you will understand why a glacier will melt faster and faster the
Oh,
smaller it gets, because the rock is dark.
yeah.
And that glacier lost over 16 floors of a building in the last 50 years. And I think we can all agree that this is not normal. So if you see it in person, I think you will have a bit of a different stance on it than if you read on it or see it on the news, because it just becomes overwhelming, right? Like
It
everyone's
is overwhelming. Yeah.
we're in crisis, and it's and at some point there's a mechanism that tells you like, I don't want to deal with this. My life is fine. And like it doesn't need to mean that we all need to run around in chaos and say like we're all going to die.
Yeah, but it's small changes.
Yeah, well, we need to know what's happening, why it's happening, and be aware of it. And then like you can do small steps. You can decide for yourself how much you're willing to, but it's not on us. If we Even if we all start being vegetarian, vegan, or something, that might have a large impact on climate, but it will not change it. There's around 30 companies on this planet that do two-thirds of all the emissions. So it's pretty clear that it's not our responsibility to change that. It's not our problem that we created. We're part of it in a way, but it's not for us to blame each other. That's something that the industry tries to do. But if you understand and see all that, and you basically say like, okay, like now I'm in the position that I understand it, then I can form an opinionated, I can form an opinion and say like, okay, like I don't want this. I want this to change. And if we voice that we want it to change, then we can do it. And I think it's better if we're outside in nature and we try and do it ourselves. Like we try to understand it, and it's not a me against them thing. I'm not arguing. You can see it. You can form your own opinion. I'm not saying like
Yeah,
uh,
and make the changes you think it's possible for you to apply on your daily life. I seen some of that in the French Alps glaciers where they mark, and you can see this. The glacier was here last year. The glacier was here 10 years ago, and it's really, really, really impactful. And if you are finding ways to show that to people, I think it's amazing because I think, like you said, a lot of people, and nothing wrong with that, but if you don't see it, maybe you think like, oh, my life is fine. And but once you see it, then maybe you can start doing some small changes, maybe not buying from these two companies, or maybe becoming vegetarian, or maybe being vegetarian few nights a week. I don't know. Small changes multiplied by many people will start making change. I believe.
in the end, I think it's about having an opinion
Yeah, that
and being
too.
informed.
Yep.
Like as I said, like if you decide that you're becoming vegetarian, vegan, whatever, that's great, and it will benefit the environment in some way. But I I don't like the position where vegetarians blame carnivores for saying, or
Yeah, no, no,
omnivores,
no. I
you
agree
know,
too.
that's
Yeah.
not. If we do that, then we will not get anywhere. And
Yeah,
I
because it's a
feel
blaming
like,
game and it's not healthy. And there are many ways to still eat meat that you're not feeding into the big industry.
yeah, exactly. That's another, like if you reflect on yourself, if it makes sense that you can buy like a packaged piece of chicken for 2 years or something in a supermarket, and it was an animal that had to live a whole life. And then you think about it, and just that thought process of saying like, okay, this is not normal, then I have an opinion on it. But you need to get there, and it's not for us to blame the people who buy it. It it doesn't get us anywhere. We need to start somewhere else. And I think that being outside, being in a relaxed environment and having a vacation or a bike ride is a better starting point of starting that reflection and giving that information without any bias, obviously, than if we just bombard them through news that we're basically near doomsday.
Yeah. And this that we're talking about, this water circulation bikepacking project, is the, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right. Is that the Vossa?
Yeah, yeah. So
Is what how
Vasa,
you say it?
yeah, Vasa is basically
Vossa.
it's a dialect word for water in Bavaria
Mm.
and also in Salzburg.
Mm.
And it's again one of those things where I don't care if you pronounce it right or not. We can all read it and pronounce it in some way. And it has like a very simple, yeah, it's just simple to read and remember. That's the most important thing. And then it's also the essence of the whole thing. I tried to come up with a more sophisticated name, but then in the end it's about water, so well, why not make it simple?
Yeah. 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 Well, it's a beautiful project. And is it coming alive, or is it already launched?
It's already going. We have a lot of riders on track already. We had already 5 disputes with landowners that said like it's becoming too much cyclists. And okay, cool. We need to
No.
divert here a bit, but I see that as a good thing. Like we have an impact. People like the idea. They go out, and it was there. The spark of inspiration was that a friend of mine invited me to an experimental water institution of the University of Munich. So they're trying to solve problems with water in like a little scope there, basically. And it was really interesting to talking to the hydrologists of the university. And I understood a lot of stuff because of that. How does the water run down the mountain? Why do we have floods? How can we stop floods? why didn't we have so many extreme events before? And then, like, you talk and you talk, and at some point we were like, wow, like we should basically make a project out of this, because it's a massive topic. There's a lot of people working on preventing damage through floods and other natural disasters,
Yeah.
and it will become more. And like, there's, well, we can blame some people on it, but it will be like a really interesting topic. And then obviously with the glaciers and stuff, we have some other stuff in there as well, and even like a geologist provided input. So yeah, it was mainly, um, yeah, I just talked to some people. I thought, oh wow, this is interesting, and then we secured European funding for this project. Even that was great, and we had 9 tourism boards that said like, yeah, okay, we are ready to try this experiment and give some money to it. And now
Amazing.
we need to make it happen for the next 5 years at least. We're committed, and yeah, it's I think the tourism boards were overwhelmed. They didn't know what was coming at them. Um, you could see in some of the meetings where I explained the state of the scientific research that went into it, that they were just passing out. Basically,
Wow.
they were just,
Lot. Yeah.
yeah, it was too much. But I think now they can appreciate that they have something with a real story that might be like an identification for them in the future. And well, I mean, if I say like we got European funding, it wasn't a massive amount of money. You can't, the amount of hours that went into this are far below of what we actually made in profit out of this. But then in the end, it's pretty nice now. Like I can say like, this is my job. I did this as my profession, and it's something that I really love. I'm not going to an office every day and thinking like, oh my god, this is terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I take it.
Yeah. Well, we're doing something that it's beautiful for the future of the world. It's not just a bike impacting trip, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's great that there is um what's the word I'm looking for? Meaning. It's meaningful. It's very meaningful. And how can people access this? Do people go to GravGrav.cc and they are able to find the Links Trail, the Vosa project, maybe other routes as well?
Yes, exactly. They can go on the website and they will find it there for free. Um, so we highlight basically the projects that we're most proud of, and then if you dig a bit deeper, you can find like even small, um, 1 day routes, or like even beginner friendly routes in different areas across Europe. Not all of them have this amount of research and story, because obviously, I mean, Vasa, for example, was 3 years of work, and the Links Trail was a bit less, but also at least 2. Um, so those take a bit longer, but they're like the big goal, because they're also like, I mean, they're fun in a way. Also, they kind of like break you, like you're basically going into burnout by the time you finish them. But yeah, like they're freely available in there. Yeah, we're trying to get more projects like this going. Next year we will have another one that I'm working on. Um, yeah, we just need to still get the funding for this.
Yeah, I was just going to ask after smashing a world record and growing GravGrav, what's next?
There's always something that strikes me where I feel like, oh, that might be interesting. I would love to do that. Um, GraphGrav is a never-ending project, um, which is good. I don't couldn't imagine having something that's just done and then I get bored of it or something. So definitely for the racing, I just finished the Further Pyrenees event, the Perseverance, and I'm gonna travel to the United Kingdom for the Equinox,
Oh, cool.
and then in November to Scotland for the Elements event, and then my racing season is done. That will be
Some
enough.
rest.
Um, Next year will be still decided, but Sure, I want to do the new mountain race by Nelson Trees, the Towers Mountain Race. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and who knows, like maybe I will revisit the others again as well. Uh, yeah, and for GravGrav, we're trying to build more of those routes in different parts of Europe to maybe have, well, a thicker network. And we're working on certain topics that are just really interesting to us. There's so many things that, like we don't have much of the indigenous tribes, like for example North America still or something, but we have some, and they're like in the Scandinavian. So I'm still trying to get a contact there.
Wow. Because it's such an untouched mystery world for many, and they are so important.
Yeah, and yeah, we basically try and get towards that goal of getting more and more countries and getting a better structure. So I also need to reinvest in the infrastructure now, doing some more work on the website to make it easier for people to find routes, and also easier for people to contribute routes, because it's not a closed format. So basically, if someone tells me like, oh, like we did this amazing project, then I can give them access and they can publish it. They can also publish articles and stories, because that's a core thing. Like it's not only me like trying to do this all alone. Like I want to have a lot of voices in
Collaborative. That's
society.
really cool.
Yeah, at the beginning I actually wanted to have 50-50 men and male and female content, and impossible for the moment to manage that, because then I would also only like try and like I can't take what comes in, but it's still high on the list to try and like represent who we are like more equally, and make it like easier for, well, minorities. It sounds a bit crazy that women are still minorities in the sport.
Yeah.
It is like that. To like get a easier entry and a bigger piece of the cake of that community.
I'm working on a project. I'm going to announce it September 15th. I created an event called She Rides, and because I want to try to get more women into the
Yeah,
sport, and it's free. I'm putting my heart and soul and a
yeah,
lot of time into this. I want to do weekend bike packings. We can try to teach you the ropes, like 30 women max. And, like what bags do I put on my bike? What tools do I need? What is the basic mechanics? And have 2 days where you feel safe to try it out and you're not going to be left out alone.
that's nice. Feel free to list it on GraphGraph. We have a
Cool. Okay.
section where you can list your
Oh,
events.
nice.
Basically,
Okay.
people then go on your website for registration or whatever. Having like a safe place where you can go in and you don't feel like, okay, like that's like 30 old dudes and me.
Exactly. And also, like, it's a challenge. It's not going to be easy, but it's not insane. 200 kilometers over a weekend, maybe 3,000 meters climb. So it's like a good challenge for a beginner.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great. I mean, Komoot started that with the women's rallies. They were
Yeah,
very
I've been to
successful.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice, but it's like Badland. I went to Badlands.
Oh yeah.
This is not beginners.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice. There were 80 women and it was so nice. Also a free event and incredible, but it's not easy.
Yeah. No, no, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's good. The more we have, and the more organizers actually think about this, that's better.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm excited for your next project with the indigenous tribes.
That's still like an idea. We have another one
Hmm.
that's a bit further, but
Okay.
there's always the way it works is basically that I need to know at least 2 or 3 years before I want to do something what it's going to be, and then I can apply for funding. I can ask tourism boards if they want to pay for it, because you can't just say like, oh, I have an idea, and go to someone and someone will be like, great, we just had a bunch of money lying around here.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah,
So
of course.
you need a full strategy. So it's always like 2 or 3 years before you can actually start working on the project.
Yeah, to pitch and get the funds. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
If the Sami project would ever come to life, I fear it will be 2028 or something.
Well, I hope it does. I think you're doing something really, really incredible for the world. And it's so exciting. I can't wait to share this episode with everyone. And again, congratulations on the triple Everesting. That's mind blowing. And looking forward to staying in touch. Thanks for coming to the podcast.
Thank you. Honored to be here.
Thank you. And that's all for today's episode. I want to thank the listeners for tuning in. Your support means everything. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider following, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends.